What is the interquartile range? Let's take a minute to look at the words. Range. The range of a set of data tells us how spread out the data is. What about the word inter? Inter means among or between, like interior. That means we're looking for the range between quartiles, or the spread between the quartiles. Let's begin then by doing a little bit of exploring. Let's do some exploring with a couple different sets of data. These two sets of data each show how many glasses of water 15 students drank yesterday. Let's take a look at data set 1 first. Notice data set 1 is already ordered. It's ordered from least to greatest. We can go ahead and use this ordered data to find the 3 quartile values. Let's begin by finding the value of the second quartile. To do that, we need to find the median, or the middle number of this set of data. If we do that, we'll get that the median, or middle number, is equal to 6. That means our second quartile value is equal to 6. To find the first quartile value, we just look at the lower half of the data, this data here. We find the middle number, or the median, of the lower half of the data. In this case, it's equal to 3. That's our value for the first quartile. To find the third quartile value, we just take a look at the upper half of the data. We find the median of the upper half of the data. If we do that, we'll get the median is equal to 9. So, the third quartile value is equal to 9. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with data set 2. Notice again, we already have ordered data. So, if we find the median of the whole set of data, we get that it's equal to 9. That means our second quartile value is equal to 9. If we look at just the lower half of the data, we find the median, and we find the median of the lower half of the data is equal to 4. That means that the first quartile value is equal to 4. To find the third quartile value, we just look at the upper half of the data. We find the median of the upper half of the data. In this case, it's equal to 14. So that's our value of the third quartile. Now take a look at these numbers. We can use the third and first quartile values to tell us something very useful. We can use the third and first quartile values to find the interquartile range. So let's go ahead now and define the interquartile range. The interquartile range is the difference between the third quartile and the first quartile. So we take Q3 and we subtract Q1, the third quartile minus the first quartile. Let's think about this for a second. The range tells us the spread of the data, but it can sometimes be misleading if the data contains outliers. So the interquartile range tells us how spread apart the quartiles are and tells us how different things are within the middle 50% of the data. Let's go ahead and take a look at these two sets of data. Let's go ahead and use this example, and let's calculate the interquartile range for each of these two sets. Let's begin by taking a look at set number 1. Well, to find the interquartile range, we take Q3 and we subtract Q1. In this case, we take 9 and we subtract 3. So this is equal to 9 minus 3, which is equal to 6. Let's go ahead and calculate the interquartile range for data set number 2. Again, we take Q3 and we subtract Q1. In this case, Q3 is equal to 14. We subtract Q1, which is equal to 4. So we get 14 minus 4. Well, that's just equal to 10. So take a look at these numbers. 6 was the spread and the interquartile range for the first set of data. The interquartile range for the second set of data was equal to 10. What does this tell us? This tells us there was a greater spread between the quartiles in the second group of students. There was a difference of 10 glasses of water between the least and the greatest amount of water drunk by students in the middle 50%. Now we know interquartile range gives us information about how spread out the data is for the middle 50% of the data.